mentions there. And now this set of people, I've said it, these three individuals who work with Abasha, they are still the same one winning us today and still siphoning our resources. Unfortunately, when you just look at the whole thing, just like you said, Michael, the whole country is just messed up. The citizen, it's we do not want good leaders. We just kind of we are very happy with mediocrity. And as far as one of my brothers or sisters are in government or getting something, even more. And the funniest thing is, most people who comes online to defend, bad government or bad governance, they do not even have people in government. So it's just a drop from the ocean that goes to them. Even some of them do not even have a drop in their mouth. It's just, man, I don't know about Nigeria, but I mean, this is really, really. I would share the document on the job platform, and just for everyone. If you want to read it, you can go see it yourself. So, and that lady, and the whole thing is, El-Rufai even stated that he was there. He said it in his, if you, he said it that he was there when Ribadu made mention of the whole thing with Tinubu and the other five governors. So I would check, look at it now and mention the name of the five governors. They were being investigated by Ribadu in 2004. Was it 2006? Yeah, I will just come back with that now.
See,
Yeah, okay, Jack,
go ahead,
You
Michael.
want
Go
to
ahead.
speak? All right, thank you very much. I don't that see that what was his name? Obasanjo. Yeah, I was trying to recall it. What I wanted to say. I wouldn't even blame Obasanjo for fighting Tinubu because everything Tinubu does, that man never does things for for the interest of every. There's one selfish thing he plans on always achieving. Is it that period he was fighting for? The period he was fighting for, what do you call it? Electricity control. Electricity control. He was trying to remove from the exclusive list. He was trying to give it to a what do you call them? A disco, what you Gensco, what do you call those people? Those people that the electrical company, anyways. He was trying to give it to those people. They had scandals. They were under one theft issue. That's why Obasanjo turned. He was like, no, he knows why Tinubu is pushing for these people, and why is he using this particular company that is having a theft issue. Very high serious case, so like very, very serious case that time. So everything about him, that man was just a snake in the water. Anyways, the Baba that is doing his soap for him is really doing it well. Is it that we have a very stupid political system where anybody can be swayed, or whoever is doing it, thumbs up to him and the Baba. Sorry, Jago, you can go back.
Yeah, my brother. When you discuss Nigeria matter, no time that you go lose brain cell. I tell you, because it be like the more you look, the less you see. But one thing I know is that although politicians should be politicians, but we'll make it easy for them to strive and expand because of our quiet manner of handling issues or whatever they throw at us. And this would test water well. One thing I know is that um Tinubu's case with Ribadu, no be case where everybody no know that time. People knew about this case. People were aware. Uh, what was his name? The man who me, I don't call him. I don't call him Tinubu's boss or Tinubu's mentor. I used to call him Tinubu's handler. They be like Tinubu na asset. They be like say that guy na CIA man. Because I don't understand. Tinubu is not that guy's godson. Now assets Tinubu be to that man, because even if you come to Lagos, when you go to the island, if you are going on what they call it, Admiralty Way. No, Awolowo. Is that Awolowo Way now? I can't remember. There are properties there that are completely gone to this man and his cronies. It's been a long, even before I knew Chaduri, I've been hearing that this side of the island is gone to the Lebanese, this side of the is gone to the this, is gone to the that, until I knew Chaduri and I realized that okay, so this man and his cronies are the one who are buying off the highland in Lagos State. And Now they've expanded. They are running at the national level now. So when you see Tinubu jet out to France, there is always Chadburi to meet in France. I think Chadburi is based in France. Yeah. So, well, um, why King Zanga come quiet like this, Abi? It's you said they change Peking Dapa.
You are not
You are not
quiet.
quiet. Listen
This
to
guy.
this
Just
guy.
mute.
Just mute.
I think say they change
Listen
Dapa.
Listen
to
to
the
the
guy.
guy.
I bet you say they change Dapa for
Former
Peking.
presidential candidate Ribadu, who is back on the line to give his thoughts on the mass defection of politicians to the ruling party, and of course, President Muhammadu Buhari's anti-corruption campaign. It's a pleasure to have you back online now. So let me start with this again. Why did you return to the APC after leaving the party for the PDP in the heat of the 2015 elections?
Well, I'm back. I'm back home. I'm back to my party that I was a founding member. I'm back to the people that I'm comfortable with. I'm back to those who I started my political life and career with.
Did you hear that?
I beg, replay am well. Make we hear clearly, I beg.
Okay, you want to hear clearly? Let's turn on this chiller. All right.
Former presidential candidate Ribadu, who is back on the line to give his thoughts on the mass defection of politicians to the ruling party, and of course, President Muhammadu Buhari's anti-corruption campaign. It's a pleasure to have you back online now. So let me start with this again. Why did you return to the APC after leaving the party for the PDP in the heat of the 2015 elections?
Well, I'm back. I'm back home. I'm back to my party that I was a founding member. I'm back to the people that I'm comfortable with. I'm back to those who I started my political life and career with.
I'm back home. I'm back to where I belong.
I'm back to
I'm
the
back to
people
the
I'm
people I'm
comfortable
comfortable
with.
with.
I'm back
I'm
to
back
the.
to the. So you are asking why Ribadu is protecting Tinubu? He is a founding member of the APC. He's back home. He's back to the people he started his political career. He said it with his mouth. Now, do you want to hear it again?
Well, if I did not hear anyone, I heard that he's back with people he's comfortable with.
See see when you look at Nigeria, but you think Gilbert is very close to the Clintons. So all these all these things you see. In fact, there's another Gilbert they are raising in Nigeria. There's another Gilbert they are raising in Nigeria already, and it's out there. It's in a public platform. Be this. I think some of us will have access to some of these things later on. The Lebanese always find a way they've always find a way to penetrate Nigeria. In fact, there was an elderly Lebanese that I met. That man had been in Nigeria for more than 50 years. More than 50. He knows the inner workings of our National Assembly. That was the same man that organized, you know, the acceptance penetration of his nephew. Hmm? Within the system. And his nephew has met with Akpabio, has met with Omoagege, has met with the leadership of national. In fact, on his WhatsApp now, DP now on my phone, like this. Na Akpabio, na him and Akpabio, Akpabio photo in Akpabio's office at the National Assembly. So the Lebanese, they've always known how to. In fact, that same individual, I think a couple of months ago, he was with what's his name of this senator? This man that has been moving mad in Delta North. What is his name again? Ned Nwoko. So there's a network. So you are able to map this entire network, you don't fully understand what's going on. So they have their own tracks covered politically. They have their own tracks covered judicially. They have their own tracks covered in terms of the law enforcement guys. I mean, they are also getting close to the military, which is really very scary. I just start using our generals with a lot of money and all these kind of things. In fact, that guy is actually working with a retired Navy secretary as we speak. The Navy secretary is from Anambra State. So that was you can my brother. When you look at Nigeria, Nuhu has been out of power for a long time, for almost 18 years. In fact, that clip that I played from the interview, that was 8 years ago. The guy has been out of power for almost 18 years. So you can clearly see that he was outside and he was hungry. And like I told you, it told the hunger in this context. Obviously, the man who they feel see rice chop or chicken, or drink his kunu or eat kosi and doya. No, that's not what we're saying. He's hungry because he want access to power. And you know that NSA office is very, very powerful. That office coordinates 18 security agencies in Nigeria, 18 of them, including the military, and present the intelligence before the commander in chief. So the NSA is a very powerful office in the whole of Nigeria. I mean, these are the guys that can present anything to the president and tell him, look, if you don't get it done, Nigeria will be in trouble. So is that powerful? I mean, I'm not saying a company. Oh, I'm not saying one section of Lagos State, or one section of River State, or Kano State. You understand? Or one giant company in Nigeria. I'm saying the country itself. So don't take that office for granted. That office is a very, very solid office in Nigeria. So you need men with consistent character. You need men with impeccable integrity. Men with proven track records that they've been able to steady their conduct both personally and professionally over the years. And those are the kind of people you need in that kind of office, which is very central to the survival of our country. Because security, is at the center of everything. Everything revolves around it. All your social things, your economic stuff, your
King
competitiveness.
Zanga, are you aware that Chaguri had been in acquaintance with the White House since the time of Bill Clinton? Michael, are you aware?
That's what I
That's what
told
I
you.
told
Like
you. Like
even in my opening remarks,
opening
I
remarks, I
said
said
Chaguris are
Chaguris
very
are
close
very
to the
close to the
Clintons. Oh.
Clintons. Oh.
Let me read something out to you, to all of us. King Zanga, listen to this one. Let me read it out. Now, listen, let me read it from the beginning. This is what made Mr. Chaguri important to the Clinton Foundation: money. According to Foundation records, Mr. Chaguri is one of its largest individual donors, contributing between $1 and $5 million to the charity. To the charity. They didn't mention the charity actually. Mr. Chaguri has also reportedly pledged $1 billion to the Clinton Global Initiative, a separate project of the foundation. In a press statement, Mr. Chaguri's spokesman, Mark Corallo, denied wrongdoing and said that Mr. Chaguri had not seen the Clintons in years, nor did he meet with Ambassador Feltman. Although Mr. Corallo confirmed his client had sought a meeting. In fact, Mr. Shaguri's tie to the Clintons go back to the Abacha period. In a rare interview with the press, he told journalist Robin Hurevich the Clintons were friends. That the Clintons were friends, and confirmed that he had donated $500 to an independent voter registration drive in 1996. During
500,000.
500,000, sorry, $500,000 to an independent voter registration drive in 1996. I beg your pardon. During Bill Clinton's re-election campaign, that contribution, which skirted the ban on foreign funding for US political campaigns, handed him an invitation to the White House and marked the beginning of his personal relationship with the Clintons. According to the Wall Street Journal, Mr. Shaguri 500,000 donation followed a conversation with top Clinton aides on how to influence the Abacha regime. This donation comes months after Nigerian political activist and rightful president Mashoud Abiola was assassinated by the Abacha regime in front of the American diplomats, escalating tensions between Washington and Abuja. Observers have noted that serious discussion of sanctioning the Nigerian government for human rights abuses and the assassination of Mr. Abiola dissipated following meetings with Mr. Shaguri and his generals donation. That's the report thus far with how Shaguri got his influence with the Nigerian government, I mean with Aso Rock, and still a friend of the Aso Rock, if not influencing Aso Rock today. King Zanga, back to you.
Yeah, I think I sent the article to Duke. As you were just reading, I think there are more of those the documents. Some of these documents are open source now. Things you can pull out. The thing is, linking the Nigeria unfortunate situation to the unfortunate citizens that we have is a question that we need to really start looking deeper and deeper into these things. Like I said before, we need new ways of thinking. There should be a drastic and radical change. In fact, as it is now, anybody can be corrupt in Nigeria, and our universities are helpless. You know what the challenges are. But what can we do? We don't even have research institutions. We don't even have think tanks anymore, you know? And in the absence of think tanks and solid institutions, there is nothing you can really do. Because some of these findings is like if I tell the rule that the likes of Rands, that the likes of Halifax, you know, Atlantic Council, CSIS, all these think tanks, if I tell you the role they play within the US, it go shock you. And recently you see the World Economic Forum, they're all linked. So the thing with Nigeria is this: we need to start having new competencies. Like I said before, can you and I, to a reasonable extent, if you are not aware of what's going on in Nigeria, can you tell us the extent to which foreign corruption has penetrated Nigeria? That's why when I see some tweets, some funny tweets, I'm not just gonna be explained. I'm explaining stuff. I will just go and write things like "what an idiot," you know, because there are things you just can't put in the open. If you get what I mean, these are things that you people need to internalize, practicalize, and operationalize in our strategic institutions. That's the only way you can drive change. That's the only way we can earn respect. People, I don't think to a reasonable extent, people can come and tell us now, those guys who are manning our agencies, tell us how much of the Communist Party's influence we have right now across the Nigerian political landscape and spectrum. I don't think to a reasonable extent, you can tell us how much of these monies flowing through opioid exchanges and weapons, and minerals. There's a lot that is going on in Nigeria. So Nigeria is like it just a center for anybody to stroll in, stroll out. So some of these guys who are setting up companies, some of these guys are hanging around for public officials. You need to start scrutinizing to the extent that if they take a photo with anybody and you see that photo, you need to know the faces of those individuals. You have to, because it's your country. You need to know who they are interacting with socially. You need to know who they are interacting with politically. You need to know who they are interacting or exchanging stuff with culturally. It's very important because nobody is living in isolation. So that's the citizen participation we're talking about. So Ribadu level, but they'll still come and deny it because right now, as it is, whether we like it or not, Ribadu is a very, very powerful person as it is now. It's a very, very powerful person. So I hope that Nigerians will start looking at the characters of the people and their track records and not sitting as dummies in a room and start clapping even when they are making mess of themselves. Because we are very fond of that. We're very fond of that. Even when you know that this individual, irrespective of what he represents ideologically or regionally, you know that this person does not have what it takes to man any, sensitive Nigerian establishment or institution. We will still push those individuals together, hoping that when they do gather, they will, take care of our interests. They will not, because something is sustaining them. You think Ribado will just? That's why I played that video so that you know the man's mindset. He said he's back home where he belongs. He's back home, to the arms of the people he can trust, that he is comfortable with. So how do you expect Ribadu to start working against Tinubu? He told you now clearly that he's comfortable with him. Is Tinubu not part of the founding members of the APC? Ribadu said he's part of the founding members of the APC. So they've gone way back. So this thing is deeper than this even the first degree and course on what is going on. Nigeria is a giant failed, a system that we just dey do window dressing. But when the house go collapse, I hope the fall no go too much. But definitely it go collapse if we do not look at the foundational issues where they destroy the house. You know. So like I just yield, I
Mike,
beg.
I will
I
ask
will
a
ask you a
question.
question.
Just 1 minute,
Just 1 minute.
Javier. See, for me, I would ask a question. Because when people, most especially from the part of the country where I come from, and when they talk about someone being the father of democracy or someone who stood against the oppressors in during the Abacha's regime. And looking at the articles that were this is not just an article that was written by someone. It was an interview by I believe Shagure's lawyer. And my concern and my question is this: after Abiola was murdered, and he rightly said that he was the rightful president, the Nigerian rightful president. After he was murdered, the money that was donated to Bill Clinton was donated to lobby them so they could, so that the US will not get involved with the whole thing, with the whole Abacha regime, so they won't, put him on pressure or stuff like that. So he donated that money to them. Now my question is this: if Abacha, okay, had donated that money, or through, okay, if Shaguri donated that money via or through Abacha, because I know he was involved in the whole thing, how did the same Shaguri, Bagudu and Tinubu then started their friendship? Because Tinubu, as according to the information we have, was against Abacha, and he even fought Abacha. According to what people are saying around, you understand, he fought Abacha and was against Abacha and all these things. So how do these three persons, the two guys that represented Abacha to the U.S. government, and then Tinubu that was totally against them, became this close, and uh, uh, became this close? Kind of something is missing there, and it's kind of it's baffling. That's my own. Can you link it together?
Yeah, well, it's it's very simple. I think one of the hallmark of anybody who stitches things together is to be able to bring very complex, arguments or links together in a very simple way that people can understand. See, both of them know each other, and both of them hold each other's secrets. Whether no matter how big America is, America have contact persons that they relate with within the government and outside the government. So there's something called keeping your allies in check, and keeping your friends in view. So sometimes when you see relationships that seems like, oh, we were not against a particular stuff before, but now I think we are. You need to understand something. People will hold each other's secrets. It's easy for them to come into agreement, and it's easy for them to kill themselves because they know themselves that deep. You understand? So whether Bagudu, Chaguri, these same individuals, it holds, the Ribadu, this same individual holds each other's secrets. They do, and they know it. They know exactly where the goods is hiding and laying the eggs or keeping the chicks. They know. So it is much easier for them to align their priorities over time. That's why I'll be telling Nigerians, start thinking long term. Start thinking long term, because these short measures, this short approach, for election cycle, which you don't even know the person you are supporting that deep, but maybe because of what somebody told you about them, or you do not to your own, you do not you, that's the informed citizenry that we are talking about. So Chaguri, Nuhu Ribadu, Atiku Bagudu, Tinubu, all these guys. You see, this whole thing, at that time, the best way you can catch anybody, just follow the money. That's why the most important document you can submit to any foreign government is your bank statement and your telephone number. That's it. Everything is tied around that. Even if you say, okay, social security, okay, they can, to a reasonable extent, use it to leak all your database and everything together. If I have your regular telephone line, hmm, I can use that to get access to a lot of things that you do. All right. But as it is now, for these guys to be denying this, it's told you already that he's gone back home where he belongs. Don't ignore that part, because if you want to compete politically, you need a political party. And when you get into a political party, within the party, you are going to have friends, you are going to have allies, you are going to have competitors, and you're also going to have enemies within the same political party. It's like, two powerful directors in a board competing against each other. You understand? It's allowed. The competition is allowed in a company, right? So it now depends on what are you competing for and who are you competing against. Don't be surprised later on Ribadu will be projected to be a presidential candidate under the APC from the north. Don't be surprised, because how best can you keep the alliance going than working with the persons you know? Because an old dog will always be an old dog. He knows how to sniff around. You already know. So you don't have to start building new relationships. You just have to sustain and agree with the existing relationship. And age is not on this guy's side anymore. So you should understand that this relationship matters to them. Duke.
Yeah. Anyways, Jagu, you can. I think you were both saying something the other time.
I don't even forget which I want tell Zanga the other time, bro. I don't forget which I want tell. I want Jabam with one of these. Oh, who they here? Oh, greatest. Hey, we're not filing any report again today. We're not today is Friday, we'll not be filing any report. How you doing, my brother? Bro Colade, I greet you. Welcome to the space. Be like say you see that message. I go draw you for that place where you did. King Zanga, you no need tell me anything again.
Yes.
You see that report where you play to us. I don't need anything again at all because if Pacific open mouth say I am back home, and if you look at the chronology is this is coming after he was EFCC chairman and chased Tinubu for a while. The same person you chased for a while is the same person who leads a party you are in and you are backing and you feel comfortable with. I don't need anybody to tell me say dog where they goat the way they call her sheep where they comfortable with dog. Na dog family. I don't need to talk more than that. Over to you, Duke of Ife.
All right. um. So Jagun Jagun. Now you bring Brocolade come here. No wala.
No, Allah.
And I'm gonna go drag my brother come now.
No wala. Alan, good afternoon. How are you? You can unmute your mic.
I'm good. I'm good. Oh. Omo, I've been listening to you guys anonymously, and I will not lie. I doubt if Nigerians are aware of the things you people are. This space, thank God, is recorded. Oh. You people have unearthed a lot of things out. That I feel like these people have gone to. Yes, it's out there, but these people have looked for a way to silence a lot of things.
Just for me,
And
Ellen, just for me. The stuffs that I downloaded online, I try to check them online now, and they kind of they've it's like they are doing cleansing online. So if you need any information, someone
I'm
said,
telling you,
yeah. So
so I'm listening
They are
to,
going to
sorry,
clean up their mess.
I'm telling you, like I was listening to you guys on speaker. Some people close to me here have been listening to this space, and we're just opening our mouths wide. It is you people are doing EFCC job on this space. I'm telling you, opposition will never like you people like this. The way what people have done on this space, but I think it is right that Nigerians know all of these details because, like you people have exposed on this space, it seems like Ribadu is going to be packaged for 2031 or is it 2030 or something. I think it's you or Jagu Jagun that said that. Is there's a secret packaging for Ribadu, and it makes sense because he's from the north. Power is supposed to get to the north, and every single thing. And the way they are making it look like it is Ribadu that is fighting against all the Boko Harams in Nigeria currently, right now, and everything. It's I just pray we don't make that mistake. I pray Nigerians do not fall for these devilish things these people are going to do to us. So it's good that you are opening it up and you are also exposing this current Tinubu. How this guy is able to buy people that are against him is something else. So I just came to tell you guys, man, kudos to you guys, man. You people are doing a great job. Honestly, I know you people feel like it's 10 or 12 people on this page, but I have people here listening to you guys, and it's really a great job. And thanks for exposing things like this. I will personally listen to this space again after it's closed and everything. So that's just all I came to say. Thank you, guys.
thank you, brother. I'm trying to bring Goat up. I think he's busy. I would like to play with his brain a little bit, because I still believe that there is something more. I keep reading. I've read quite few articles and news and newspaper, most especially Nigerian newspaper articles. I believe there is even more, something more that connects all these three people together, because you cannot just tell me that the whole thing from me fighting against you. This is what I think, and I'm not sure. This is just my own dark. This is just my own. Um, Maybe I should call it propaganda or what. I believe even when someone, okay, was busy fighting uh, the um, the military. I believe even not. I believe. I guess it was also working for them, because they're like, you cannot just tell me that two people who are, working, the two people who were working for the for the military government, these same two people were the one that lobbied the U.S. government not to get involved when Abiola was murdered. Okay, now when you became, and you are the one fighting against them, the next thing is when you became the president, you name one of them the minister of your budget. Okay, and the other one is your right hand man. So I just don't believe that it's just because they want to. It's just because about secret. I believe they've been friends, and they've been doing this thing together, even when Nigerians or nobody knows about that. That's what I thought. But I mean, I might be wrong. But I think three of them, or even maybe we just the articles I have here, I've only stated three persons' names, all right? But then I believe there are even probably more than three. Don't disturb your brother. Okay, leave him alone.
Okay, go attend, go attend. But me, I know that I know that in politics, or okay, let's come home. In Nigerian political setting, you don't really need to be friends. You just need your interest to align. That's all that matter with Nigerian political operations. That's what I think anyway. That you don't need to be friends, since no political ideology is underlining your disposition. So it's all about interest. And remember, our political waters is muddied with money. I mean, it's transactional from top to bottom. So, like I said, and King Zanga repeated it, everybody's got a price. And for Ribadu to double down on a public information, um, it shows that interest aligned, um, permutations and compromises reached, then the agreement sealed, signed, and delivered. None of both parties will be able to renege on the agreement reached. Else, there will be friction and followed up with expose from either end. And I know one would have the upper end because there is one who is keeping information of the fraudulent activities and who's owned it. Just like the professor who was a former vice president was the one who assisted in rearranging, how do I put it, reprofiling the image of the man who occupy Aso Rock today and make Nigerians begin to rename it as Old Rock. Um, that's what me I think. It's just interest for Ribad and the likes of him. If today interest align with the diminutive man in Kaduna, you will see him sing a new song like the Canary. That's my thought. I mean, Michael, do you have any counter or support Kinzanga?
See, when it comes to business, when it comes to business and relationship, they mean two different things. So I can do business with you without having a relationship with you. Hmm? And I can have a relationship with you without necessarily doing business with you. Do you understand? If you, that's why I said, let me just bring a module. Hmm? If your local politician, it doesn't matter if the guy is a councillor or he's a governor, you have to pay very close attention to who they are relating with. Who they are relating with. Because usually sometimes not be person where you they see in your face say you get power, really get the power. They are all seeing powers. As big as the Shaguri group is, their headquarters is still located in Nigeria, in West Africa here. Now, if you want to dig deeper, do you know the role that the Chaguri group has been playing within the sub-region? And why did Gilbert and his brother, that is Gilbert in particular, choose France? Why? There are some personality, there are some people, there are some individuals that assets to nations and foreign intelligence services. Because no matter how big or how small a country is, you will need people to work with on the ground. So if you want to take your country back, you're not going to be taking your country back on social media or on Twitter. You're not going to do that. You are going to do strategic, neutralization of some of these nodes or some of these networks. Then replacing them with the ones that you know will do your own bidding. Because at the end of the day, everybody is competing for one thing or the other. Everybody in the real world is a hunter. But you know that here already, the level of, this social engineering that was done by Americans in the 50s, in the 70s, and late 80s, that program was extremely successful by the CIA. Extremely successful. So now when I'm relating with people in Nigeria, I'm looking at demographies. I'm calculating age. What happened between, the 50s, the 40s, the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, the 80s. Oh, he was born in the 1930s. This was what happened. And then you rolled all these things back. And in fact, it go shock you. So I approach those, the way I will approach Ribadu, for example, it's not the way I will approach somebody like Bishop or Kolade here or even Duke. Because the experiences, the times, what shapes their opinions, their worldviews, their interests, and it's totally different. It's totally different. There is let me bring us back to a personal experience that I had. You recall that Dele Alake went to a company called Abuja Steel Mill. That was last year, December, and he went and commissioned, a laboratory there. Those guys used to help me to test some, minerals. One of their director there, in fact, a co-owner of the company, used to be my very good friend. My very good friend. He was a former DG SON. In fact, pioneer DG of SON. Hmm? I'm working your mind back. I think the man is above 70 years old now. So check that, calculate and know where he was when he was born. Anytime I sit down with, you work with the Obasanjo government, right? Yeah. So anytime we are talking, hmm, I see that sense of, you are a small boy, you probably do not have experience. I know you're smart, you're educated, you're home and abroad, you know what you're doing and all of that. But when it comes to here, Nigeria here, we determine the fate of everyone else. And that is his philosophy. That is his approach, right? Fast forward, 2, 3, 4 years to the relationship. His son is actually my very good friend. I think I played a role while he was, entering the University of Liverpool and Newcastle. Sorry, Newcastle. This same big man asked for just a few dollars, and I could give a few thousands of dollars to him. With all that, he said he's going to pay that money back in 2 weeks. 2 weeks turned to 3 months, 3 months to 5 months, 5 months turned to 8 months. It was getting to a year. And I said, no, I need the money back. He called an AIG or police. In fact, he said, oh, if I hadn't, what if I deny that I didn't collect this money from you? What are you going to do? All manner of blackmail. The man just changed overnight. That's why I said the essence of the lesson to this personal experience for me, don't be allowed to be boxed into a corner with these old guys. They will use every tool. They will use every connect at their disposal, including money, to deal with you. How much is $4,300? That something that they can snap like that. And that company is the largest iron producing company right now in the whole of Nigeria. So the man is a fucking billionaire. How much did he and Central Bank use in financing a land in my home state, Edo? I think they have over 17,000 hectares, kilometers. So he's not poor. So, but you can see the unrepentant nature of that age. Those are the people that destroyed Nigeria. And they started recruiting members to join them age by age. In fact, the latest is their own kids now being planted in strategic institutions. Their own kids will be worse than them, oh, because their own kids now will work with some of the ruthless guys across the West and the East. I think the interest is even moving towards the East now. When I say East, I'm not talking about Eastern Nigeria. I'm talking about East, East, China there. So the thing is, when you roll back the interactions between that Abiola age, Abacha, the Marwa, they are still very much around. Buba Marwa, they're still very much around. Ribadu, Tinubu, all these guys. Then you can clearly see the picture that within that closed, affiliation, that closed circle, there is already an established understanding. So who are you now to say you want to come in anyhow? So that understanding is what is shaping their domestic policies, is what is shaping their economic, participation, allocations of resources. Remember, I told you guys they are raising another Shaguri already. Another one. He's also a Lebanese guy in Nigeria already. But how many Nigerians are interested in what is happening in Lebanon as we speak? How many? How many Nigerians know exactly what is happening in Lebanon? Why some of the things they are doing in Nigeria, they can't even try that in Lebanon? So start paying close attention to who your politicians are associating with, who they are transacting with, who they are engaging with part time. It's very, very important because all these things are linked. So for the man that collected money, because he has power and all of that, thinking I couldn't do anything, I petitioned him to the police, and he was invited. He didn't come, and the police went to arrest him in the morning, and he brought an AIG to free him. I said, "Organa lie, go work." So I also did the introduction. I introduced my dad as well. And the AIG was like, "Oh, okay, this thing." I said, "Oh, your dad, you are police. My dad is also a senior officer in the military. So that means the fights go long." I like saying all these things, but so the summary of this whole thing, that day, that man paid the money with our beg. But what if because I also spent money with the police to do the petition, their lawyers, and paid logistics for him to be tracked down and arrested and all of that. So it even cost more than $1 million naira. What if I cannot afford that? So I will probably hate, in the system because of the painful experience. But this is the same Ribadu that I've been talking about. Sense of justice. Justice is blind in most of the interviews. So the legacy he left at the EFCC, where are we today? Today, EFCC officials will even say they want to negotiate with you. So what's going on to recover money? So are we really interested in building Nigeria, or will everybody just waiting their turn? Once I get there, I will satisfy the interests of my people. I will project my ethnic dominance or my religious, vicious whatever interest and say in your face, if you don't like it, relocate to another place. But the world is hitting a reset button right now. Everybody is retreating and say, look, things cannot be done like before. What on earth, my brother Duke, Jago Jago, everybody on this space? You have 36 states in Nigeria right now plus FCT. You know that out of that 36, in fact, 35 of them are insolvent in the real sense of if you want to really develop. But they want to create another one to have governors who will be driving SUVs on our paved roads. So the challenges are many. Duke, I see your hand, I beg. Now your space, no verse. Put your hand down, I've been a glitch.
No. I'm just telling you to round up. That's
I don't round off. Oh.
it. All right, Jago, are you there?
Duke, you know we are just speaking in the general term. Do you know there are things, this is not Twitter. If this meeting, now maybe Google Meets and all of that. See, you go they review files, you go they review name, you go they map out global transactions. Did you hear me? You go they map out bank accounts. But this one at Twitter. You understand what I'm saying? So there are a lot of stuff you can't just let's talk in the general terms of sense of patriotism, service to country and people, because you want to see things better.
Yeah, I understand. Um, oh, sorry, I have my kid here. Sorry, I'm trying to redirect the whole conversation back to the topic. So I just while listening to you, I was reading through. There's an article that I saw. So from the U.S. archive. Madi, I'm busy. Okay, I'll come back to you. I'll come back to you. Okay. So yeah, I was reading that while listening to King Zanga, and the only one thing that keeps striking me is just is and it's very funny when you look at um the whole thing. I think was 2004. So this same Ribadu, okay, it was after two individuals. One is the guy that we've I think we've said enough about him today. The Shagori guy Gilbert. It was after Gilbert, and that was because there was an expo from the US about the fund that Gilbert siphoned from Nigeria. Stop it. Siphoned from Nigeria, and the person who assisted him to get those money out of Nigeria was the current Minister of Budget, Bagudu, and the guy who was running after them, and the third person who Ribadu was going after, documented, at least it's in public domain. Um, that was the current president of Nigeria. So Ribadu was going out. He was after these three individuals: the Minister of Budget, the President of Nigeria today, and the best friend of the of Nigerian President Gilbert. And now he's the one going outside now defending them and saying, saying that he never mentioned them. And also, I have a video of him, saying in the video where he said, no, I have an article, and in that article he was asked about this Gilbert that got the contract, and I'm kind of it makes me kind of go crazy when you look at it, when you read these things, and it was asked that this guy Gilbert that what can he say about Gilbert? And he said many things about Gilbert and how he was trying to lure him from France to Nigeria just to get him arrested. And him being the I mean is in charge of all the securities in Nigeria, right? And I keep wondering and asking myself, how did Gilbert get that contract from the government without his consent, or send, at least for the contract without magnitude to be given to a certain company, then it has to go through all the security checks and clearance, and everything has to be done. I mean, Mike, you are in security sector, and I believe this should happen. And that guy got the contract. And now I've seen videos of Ribadu today with Shagori and Tinubu. I saw it online. So I was just like, these three or four persons, they've always been part of the whole establishment. Sorry. So the four of them they've all been together, working together since I think 2003, and now the same set of people are still the one who really knows, making all the critical decisions for us today. And lastly, before I drop the mic for Jagun Jagun, this guy Chaguri, he has been the Democrat Party in the US. He's one of the biggest donor. Like, he gives money, yamfu yamfu. He's a sugar daddy to Democrat Party in the US. Made, stop that. Stop that. So he's one of the. Uh, sorry, Jagun Jagun, are you there? Let me just go back to this boys. Jagun Jagun, are you there? Okay. Mike, are you free now?
Yeah. I'm just looking at the report by Nuhu Ribadu in 2010, why when he said $140 billion is actually taken out of Nigeria yearly. You can see as far back as 2010, $140 billion taken out of Nigeria yearly. That's a lot of fucking money. A lot of fucking money. I think I'll send you the article, Duke. See, the thing is, when you now see people who were supposed to, so at some point, people who you revered and say, hey, this were anti-corruption Caesar. I think part of these grievances, the reason why I said to EFCC on this platform the last time, I think that was last year, late last year, where they held this speech, that I think the EFCC should be disbanded and probably give the NFIU prosecutorial powers so that they can be able to do their job. Where we want to start from, is it from the Murtala Muhammad and Obasanjo's time? See, all these years since we even returned to democracy, since 1999, it's one corruption case after another corruption case. And it seems the actors, they always find a way to regroup themselves, and the people are helpless. So this is the conversation. I'm not looking at you know individuals now, because even in today's economy, $160 billion, it's a lot of money. It's a lot of money. It's like every single the taxes, the revenues we generate, everything. If we include the money where the donor agency, every people they give up, it's like every those people in government, they position themselves. Once they just come, they could just spread the net, catch the thing and just take it somewhere else. They gather all this money. That's why you can't, if you don't even have enough money, you can't even near the arena where you go copy, say you want to change Nigeria political landscape. Leadership, you cannot even near there because you don't even have the resources. So this money is still within these people. So I want to take it back. That's the challenge we're supposed to be looking at. But maybe the big man is not from my hometown. So what is my business? Why am I complaining? Jagu Jagu.
Yeah, I did. I did. Now, one question I just want to ask. I just want to ask one single question because the speaker that came up the other time and dropped off, I just came to give commendation. Said information that he's getting from here are new and alien to him. Now, the same. It spurred me to ask if all of this information that we are giving have been out there in public domain, and yet people don't have access to them. I am sure that the opposition or individuals in opposition do have access to this information. Why is it so difficult to chronology these details and begin to use it or use them? I want to sample your view, Michael and King Zanga, including you, Duke.
Uh, yeah, Jago Jago. Before you sample that, I want to draw attention to the the Transparency International 2005 report. If you look at that report, and me Ribadu is, in fact, the report was heavily contributed by Ribadu. The Ribadu actually contributed to that report heavily. In that report, Ribadu was saying that corruption took 20% of our GDP. Corruption took 20%. And now let's put a number to that. All right. So the number we're looking at now, Ribadu said $400 billion that has been looted out of Nigeria. Hmm? Hmm? Is 6 times the total value of resources committed to rebuilding Western Europe after the Second World War. Just imagine that. Jago Jago, you can continue.
I already put that question out there. I mean, what are the individuals in the opposition doing that they cannot put together this information and begin to furnish the general public with this detail? That's the question I want to ask. What is wrong with some individuals in the opposition coming together and say, okay, these are the. I'm not talking of coalition work now. On your platforms as opposition, on their different platforms, what is wrong with them coming up with these details, and whichever secretariat way they want to medium they want to use it to get, to get the information out to the people, they do it. But here we are, they are not. They are busy with coalition and what's not. What is really responsible? King Zanga, Michael, and David. Duke of Ife. We are the ones on the speaker section. Now, what is responsible for this? I think it's no brainer not to begin to play this opposition role with all of this information littering everywhere that are damning.
Jago Jago, see, let's go back to the Jadi Declaration slash confiscation of assets illegally acquired by Nigerians in the 70s, and Shagari ethical revolution to fight corruption through the introduction of Code of Conduct of Public Servants in 1981, and the war against discipline by the Buhari Diagbon administration in 1984. I wasn't even born then. No. This year's when I did all these things. So you can imagine that the corruption, these things we are even reading, say they even would pass the perceived voice where you hear here. So you can see my perspective, right? So now, if you look at the Abacha administration in 1994 as well, all these efforts, eh? All these efforts, they did not yield any result. They always end up at the rhetoric level with no significant change. So let's fast forward. Let's fast forward the clock back to 1999. Hmm? And the emergence of the EFCC dependent and the Independence Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission, the ICPC, the Obasanjo's era. What were the expectations and the change that we saw? It is always the same issue over and over and over and over again. So that is why, don't forget, you recall that during the hearings in the US, when they were trying to legally interpret this certificate forgery, and the Chicago State University thing, and the representative of the institution of the university said maybe it is a Nigerian thing, because what do you want made the young man talk again at that point? Like, oh, this matter don't even tire me. Why am I even involved in this whole mess as far back as Nigeria? What is even going on? And we're even talking about a presidential candidate or a president of a country like this now, safe. What is going even? What the fuck am I even doing? You can imagine what must be going through the mind of this individual, because The president of any country is a very powerful president. Number one, don't forget that when you are referring to a country, there are basically three pillars that makes a country a country. Number one, you are looking at the sovereignty of a country. The country is sovereign, so it can't be subject to the external interferences and meddlings and in its affair. You have to respect that. Then number two, the independence of that country. The country is independent of any other country. It means you need to source its own manpower, need to mobilize its own resources within its territory, you know, and all of that. You need to determine its friends and maybe to a reasonable extent, you need to be careful with its foes and things like that. Then finally, looking at the territorial integrity of a country, which is obviously how it relates with neighboring countries, those they share borders with. They want to, allow some goods coming and go services flowing and out, like that. Can you honestly, in assessing us as a nation state, even if I know as a Benin person, we have a different perspective to how Nigeria became Nigeria. Now, can you, in all honesty, say that these three pillars that makes up a nation state, hmm, that makes up a nation state in today's Nigeria, you can really see them being interpreted and respected, and other people doing same, jago jago. So if we can, let's start from there. Maybe citizens' consciousness will be awoken so that when you occupy any place, you'll be able to say, "Oh, this is my level of responsibilities," and all of that. So that's where the conversation should go. So that anytime somebody occupies a position, you don't see the person through the lenses of the political party. You are seeing the person through the lenses of service. Oh, this is a Nigerian. He now occupy a position that need to deliver service to the people. You understand? I need to, uphold justice. That need to treat people with dignity and respect. I will not be a common thief of their common patrimony. So that sense of duty, I think is missing. That's why somebody can come in from Lebanon and be so powerful. Hey, by the way, Chaguri is having a Nigerian passport too, anyway.
Um,
So he doesn't need a visa to come here.
Zanga, I don't. If you feel like say you know here when I talk up stylishly, the guy. I think the guy already bought Aso Rock since the Abacha days. But just hang in there. Let me read these reports again to you. You must have had. I mean, you must have come in contact with these details I'm about to read to the space now. But just pay attention. I have two informations that I have to read out to us. Let me go with the first one, and it's still on Chagri and the Abacha and Bagudu. General Abacha and his finance minister also allegedly caused the government of Nigeria to purchase Nigerian government bonds at vastly inflated prices from a company controlled by Bagudu and Mohammed Abacha, generating an illegal windfall of more than $282 million. In addition, General Abacha and his associates allegedly extorted more than $11 million from a French company and its Nigerian affiliates in connection with payment on government contracts. Funds involved in each of these schemes were allegedly laundered through the United States. Yeah. Why are we reading this? We're reading this because today our Minister of Budget is same man who was conduit for all of this laundry. Second information that I have is who is still on Ribadu, countering his lies and is doubling down on saying on the information out there about him describing Tinubu as a corrupt individual with international dimension. Now, here is a feedback again from Ribadu. Uh, it dates back to 2007. Yeah. We will frustrate Tinubu, Kalu, others, Ribadu says. Now, governors seeking seeking electoral positions will continue to be pursued by the Economic and Financial Crime Commission, the chairman said yesterday. Nuhu Ribadu, who spoke with newsmen at the presidential wing of the Mukhritala Mohammed International Airport, Lagos, however, said that the commission decided to single the Lagos state governor, Asiwaju Bola Tinubu, his Abia state counterpart, Chief Hoji Usokalu, remember, who a few days ago was made chairman of, I think, the Southeast Commission.
Southeast Development Commission.
Thank you. And Governor Ibrahim Shekau of Kano, currently who is frolicking with Aso Rock. Shekau of Kano State. Out. Okay, let me start again. Sorry, I missed a step. Is Abia State counterpart Chief Oji Uzokalu and Governor Ibrahim Shekau of Kano State out because they were the only governors seeking fresh elective positions. He vowed that the governors would be prosecuted for alleged corruption following their indictment by an administrative panel of inquiry. He said Tinubu and the rest, other governors, should consider themselves as very lucky. They ought to have been where Joshua Darie, the impeached Plateau State governor, Ayo Fayoshe, the impeached Ekiti State governor, and DSP Alami Sega, former Bayelsa State governor, also impeached, are today. They cannot escape. That is Nuhu Ribadu, the current NSA head, talking in 2007. Over to you, Duke.
Over to me, Bao. Over to another.
I still ask this question, and maybe Michael is busy. I need someone to tell me why and what is the opposition doing. We have all of this history. We have these antecedents. But we are supposed to be biting hard on this information. But here we are. We just want to grab power. Well, and again, when I said earlier when the state started, Najatu is not lying. Ribadu, he's the liar. But El-Rufai in this case is just seeking alignment. Again, over to you, Duke.
Duke, see, let's look at this corruption. Let's bring it back to its constituency, where it actually lives, where they bath, where they chop, where they interact. Let's first, number one, how will these people even get to where they will have the ability to even sign anything or relate with people? Let's look at. I want to bring us back to 2012. Let's look at electoral corruption. Of course, when we look at electoral corruption, we're going to be looking at, buying of votes with money. Didn't you see that in Edo election? Now, that's a problem that has existed for how many years? Look at intimidation of agents of opposition parties. Are you not seeing that today? That's a form of corruption. Are you not seeing the intimidation of polling units agents, obstruction of the freedom of election? Are you not seeing ballot box snatching, stuffing? Are you not seeing the manipulation of the voters' register? Are you not seeing brigadier? If you try us, we go show you pepper. Sit down for your house if you not go vote for my person. Are you not seeing that? Are you not seeing killing and maiming of people? Are you not seeing multiple thumb printing on ballot papers, even changing results on the sheets? And say announcements of votes in areas where votes were not even cast, and winners of election ending up as the losers. Are we not seeing all these things? When the Nuhu Ribadu came on board, I think came on board in 2003 as the EFCC chairman, and since 2003 till now, picking where we born for 2003 now, don't be big girl, don't be big boy, right? So you can see what progress have we really made. Just pick electoral corruption, for example. Have we? We haven't. We haven't made any significant progress in that
King
regard.
Zanga, this is what I am saying. I'm saying no vessel. I'm saying we've identified all of these things. No, be these things they happen to. We have identified them. We have even identified the demographic targeted by these politicals for election and to perpetuate themselves in office. We have seen all of these things. But we have also seen and traced back the antecedent of all of these vultures that have recycled themselves again. But then there is a question of the opposition that is idle and deliberately sitting on their hands for what purpose I do not know, and going completely off rail towards what will not bring solution to the people, just for themselves. Power grab. With all of this information, if they were for the people, I would think, because that's why I'm asking that question, I would think that they ought to package all of this and the antecedent of everybody involved in this current administration, because there is none, as I said earlier, that is not with one leverage or the other. Nobody will work with Bola Ahmed that would not have a baggage. You must be someone that can be leveraged before you can sit and work with this individual because of what is involved. So if the opposition have all of this information, why not chronicle all of this detail and begin to run it like this man, this famous journalist in Ghana used to do his, here is findings and investigation when he does, ask. This man makes public this information and he details it so much that it becomes airtight, watertight, that no one can manipulate or wriggle it to make a false narrative. That's what I'm saying. What is wrong with the opposition? Is this just deliberate or what? Because all of these things that we are reading, Ribadu coming to lie with all of the information we have about him, confirming that these persons are actually corrupt. All of the names that we mentioned in what I just read are still in power today, occupying sensitive positions. Sanga, what is happening?
Okay. We're breaking it down sector by sector because it's good we have these. When we are talking, it's important that when we're talking about a state, the Nigerian state, we contextualize the discussion to reflect what the core issues are. Let's look at budget corruption now. When the management of a public organization is in connival with a governing council or a board slash minister or commissioners or a governor or the president and members of the legislature to approve inflated estimates for institutions during budgeting, that's a problem. That's budget corruption. So in a situation whereby the budget is already approved and the management is expected to give tips, didn't you hear that universities what I'm reading now is not even from today. I'm reading document that is almost 20 years old. Almost 20 years old. Now, if a problem exists for almost 20 years and you have not been able to solve that problem, then that's your inability to solve that problem in itself is a problem. It's a problem. Now, let's just fast forward back to let's fast forward back to the corruption in the administration of Babangida itself. This practical example of what happened. $2 billion Gulf War windfall in 1991. 30% of oil revenue diverted to frivolous uses through, out the time. A huge extra budgetary spending in 1989, which is around 15.3 billion. So there's how many? In fact, it's a whole lot. 200 million siphoned from the aluminium smelter project. 400 million naira wasted on the Better Life project. Colossal corruption of the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation (NNPC), for example, the $101 million for the purchase of strategic storage facilitation. So, where you want start from? So that's why when some country refer to Nigeria as a country synonymous with corruption, don't be offended, because these things have been there for a very long time, and it seems we still cannot be able to solve them. And lest we forget that corruption was actually responsible for the collapse of Nigeria first and second republic. First and second republic. So in the journey of our nationhood, corruption was actually responsible for the collapse of the government in the first and second republic, where government officials like the Tafawa Balewa government, in the first republic, looted public funds with impunity. He did not take any policies for positions. So there's a lot that we can learn from both the actors. Please link their activities to their personalities and their practice in government and governance of today. Then the answers will be very clear. Duke. Jagu Jagu, if you date here, you don't sleep.
That I did there, Jare, I dey unmute my mic. Yeah. Well, this detail where I dey read today, although I've been going on some information, but this one where I dey read today, reading it, maybe because it's compact and it's coming, because me I just gather, they steal from here, they steal from here. All of those information don't they come out for web. So this one that I'm reading now confirms the fact that we recycle. In fact, the recycling is just tough. The same Bagudu, the same Chekara, and all of them. And Pella no miss am when he talk am those days. He said, though we dey make this money, but me I know say Nigeria go down. Because how government go dey declare money and the people no go dey see money spent. He said that those who don't rule Nigeria before, they recycle themselves. And that was when he sang about Obasanjo recycling old politicians to start their instrument of magic work. I mean, to begin to use instrument of magic on Nigerians again. Look at the information that we just read, and look at the individuals, the characters that were named in that article, and go to our government today in Aso Rock. Bagudu, Minister of Budget. Ribadu, NSA, very sensitive positions in government. Same people who were fingered in heavy corruption. I will say again, for emphasis sake, what is the opposition doing? If we have been able to establish the fact that between El-Rufai, Ribadu, and Najatu, Ribadu, in actual fact, is a liar, what is the opposition doing with all of the information that we have access to and that we have read out on this space? If it's just to keep rolling this information out on a daily basis until it becomes a conscious information that the people have access to. In fact, make it in a way or in language that the people would understand. Look at somebody was responding to Elon Musk on the TL when he was describing the amount of money stolen from the American coffers under the cloak of US AID. Somebody responded and said, look, Americans will not understand you describing that $180 million had been taken out in the name of frivolities in other countries, just like Sesame Street in 20 million, is it 20 billion or $20 million for Sesame Street in Iraq. Now, so that person said, just tell the American people that the taxpayer of 1,000 people have just been used on extravagant event. Then you will see how Americans get angry, because Americans do not really understand their tax calculated in percentage of the spendings by their government officials. So here, why don't we put this information out in language, as I said earlier, that this demographic, that is the target of this politician, understand, so that we can bridge the information gap between the Nigerian state and government or governance. That's what I think. And that's why I asked that question, especially because of the names that were fingered and that are still very much in operation today, actively in operation today. Remember, that was 2007. Sanga, you say, Pekin where they born that time, he go, don't marry. Sanga, that Pekin don't marry today. But same people will not leave government. And these people are the next batch of leaders that will begin to have at the federal level if we are not careful. Yeah, I don't know what Duke is doing here. Maybe you don't settle.
Not settle, at least I can still speak. No.
All right, go ahead.
See, there's one thing I mean, I always, think about. I think democracy, I think it's overrated. And okay, I think the thing democracy, I think is just overrated. I think it's just pure lies, because when you look at countries like even in the US, you look at Trump, he had affiliation with the Democratic Party. You see someone like Elon Musk that is um, really pushing the MAGA agenda today. He was also supporting the Democratic Party at a particular time, at a point in his life. You look at so many people. You look at today, okay. You look at this guy, this earth minister. Is it this junior RFK Junior? What's his name? Also, is one of them. The lady that's waiting to be confirmed now is one of them. I think now. I think the whole thing. You look at this guy that frees on the mic. I sent you what's the name of this senator from the US? We got freeze on the podium the other day, and you look at the other lady also from the party,
Mitch McConnell,
yeah,
former Senate
yeah, the
Majority
guy
Leader.
just, I mean,
I told you now, it's either abuse.
yeah, abuse. Oh, I think the democracy is really is just like that, but the only thing that is just different in Africa is there's no system at least that would put people that will account for everything that all this guy does. And we, to be sincere, if we are going to do anything or change anything anything in Nigeria, we still have to go through those guys that have, in one way or the other, been in the system or know what's happening in the system. It's just the same thing everywhere. Oh.
That is one of the effects of fatherhood. Don't shoot them.
Leave
Uh,
her. She's sleeping. Leave her.
let me. Okay, are you back?
No, please go on. You can.
Let me just give my view with this leg of conversation that you initiated. I think democracy, first of all, democracy is what you say democracy is to you. Democracy, I think, aside the principal tenant, the principal tenant of it, which is government of the people, by the people and for the people, according and as it will be very much established by what's his name, AIDS. But today, even in America, democracy is hyped in America, and I don't think they are anymore practicing it because it has become the government of the few, by the few, making decisions for the majority. Now, having said that, let me categorically state this: that outside the institutions in America that makes it difficult for individuals elected or appointed into government capacities for them to engage either brazenly or with impunity in corrupt practices. Outside that, America would be a glorified African state. I'm telling you, in terms of corruption. But for their strong institution, there is a check. Come back home here in Africa. There are countries that are currently enjoying the dividend of what I would describe as indigenous democracy. There is a professor back in the days, Professor Jegede. He would describe solution to our problem in the democratic setting as looking inward for indigenous solutions to our indigenous problem. I have always been emphasizing this. Our problem is indigenous to us. Our problem is not identical to that of Kenya, Rwanda, or the America. It is exclusively peculiar to us. And as such, we must be able to fine-tune this democracy in a way that it works for to solve our indigenous problem. Go to Rwanda today. Nigerians and African countries are traveling abroad. Are traveling over there to hold parties and to hold weddings. But that was a country, was it over 20 years ago, that was involved in appetite? That was involved in genocide. We had over 13 or 12 million people that were killed. Between the space of the genocide and the time of the response of the community, of the international community, was 2 weeks. It's that democracy. But today, the same Rwanda had found a way around that democracy and make it work for them. Today, you would want to argue that Kagame has used more than his time in office and is beginning to turn it into a monarchical system, or blah, 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 blah. But today, just opposite with the economic development of Rwanda. So I would personally jettison the principle of the modernized democracy for a democracy that works for my indigenous problem. That's the way I see it. Yeah. And that democracy you described, Duke, I think that democracy is far gone with the way that the game is being played right now and the expose that we are receiving from the United States and even from the United Kingdom. These are examples of what democracy should be. And they are the ones, they are the ambassador for democracy all over the world. So yeah, that their democracy, I think it's just a cloak for their imperialist agenda, Jerry. Just an offshoot anyway. So in Nigeria, we must look for indigenous solution. And that includes we playing it as it should be, not involving ourselves in political correctness. That's what I think with this your new argument. Yeah.
Yeah, Jago, you are not going to have that. You are not sorry. Newsflash. You're not going to have that. At least not so fast or so easily. Don't forget, you gained independence in 1960. Then you became a republic in 1963. Right? Jago, are you there?
I'm with you all the way. Yeah.
Good. In 1964, you had your first elections that were ushering the first republic. Right? And 1965. That's it. 1964 and 1965 elections. The history of political corruption in Nigeria began in those years. Ever, your first ever election, 1964 and 1965, were rigged by the NPC. And the action group went all out. And you saw what happened, at least in the Western region. The burnings, the killings, destruction of properties, and all of that. Just a young country. So the first election, you couldn't even get together. The same repetition is what we are seeing in the electoral system today. Fast forward, how many years after? Even in the Gowon administration, you could see clearly what happened. Well, you went to the military, even 10 out of how many of those governors, the military governor, 10 out of the 12 military governor. That's a high number. We're indicted in corruption cases. Do you understand? So the level of corruption in Gowon's regime came under intense public scrutiny when Murtala Mohammed became the head of state and set up, this asset investigation panel to probe the governors and other public officials served under Gowon. The panel indicted 10 out of 12 military governors, and their assets were confiscated. The entire corruption crusade spread the entire public service throughout the entire public service. The public service and these other guys. So you could see that over more than 10,000 public servants nationwide were indicted. So a lot has gone wrong from the very foundation of the country. A lot has gone wrong from the very foundation of the country. You see, you can start from that 1964 to 1965 and keep, just bringing the clock down like that to where we are today in 2023. The whole thing is not that different, my brother. Don't let anybody deceive you. These problems will continue until we as a people say, can we continue like this, or we need to, do things differently, at least hope for a different result or a different outcome. Didn't you see that just a few months in Abdul Salam, administration, the foreign or the foreign reserve was depleted by billions? What of Justice Christopher Collardy's panel? What about the report of Justice Christopher Collard? Collard, you did here. Now your father will they talk so. Oga Collard, Oga Oga Collard. So you could clearly see that right from when Nigeria became a republic, this corruption has been with us, and this is a Nigerian thing. I'm sorry. Oga Collard, I say whether or not your papa, you can see that just wait. Oh, that panel was set up to look at what happened within the Abacha and all that. And over 63 billion dollars were recovered. That's a lot of money. 63 billion naira were recovered from Abacha, and the money still keep the money is a gift that keep giving. So you could clearly see that Abdul Salam administration is not even an exception from the mass looting of the public treasury. You look at the Christopher Collardy's panel set up to review the contra licenses and appointment made under the Abdul Salam administration. They came up with shocking revelation, and the panel found beyond unimaginable, imaginable proportion that though Nigeria was already neck deep into corrupt practices, The Abdul Salam administration made a mockery of any sense of discipline and probity, and at a scale that practically made saints of his predecessors. Of his predecessors. Look at what the the panel specifically reviewed: 4,072 contracts, 576 licenses, 807 appointments, 768 awards, and 111 approvals, all made within 5 months. Within 5 months. Then the panel submitted that 4,072 contracts cost Nigeria 635, 0.62 billion naira, as against 88 billion naira budgeted in 1998. If you go school, you go do this, compute these numbers. They check the percentage. So you can see that the panel also revealed that the depletion of the foreign reserve, which at the end of 1998 stood at $7.6 billion, but shrank to $3.8 billion by May 1999. Again, corruption has been with us since the very foundation of Nigeria. Over to you, Jagu Jagu.
Well, Zanga, me, you still never talk waiting. I want me talk, or not be waiting. I want make you talk. Talk go the area of these things where they touch like. I no disagree with you. Say corruption you don't get our DNA. You don't they weaved into our fabrics. But me, I'm saying that how is it so difficult, or rather, how is it? How do I put it now? How is it so difficult to move away from all of this? Or how do I? No. How I put this thing? Yeah. How do we come off from this? We don't know. We don't dey corrupt since 1960. We don't dey corrupt since 1970. These are the people. These are. How do we move from that talking point to the talking point where we go begin to talk? Say, okay, we know. Say these people don't they recycle themselves since 1970. But now we the people don't tire. As you don't talk, no be see. They will continue to sit down on panels. They will continue to come up with committee reports and recommendations. I mean, I can mention at a first sweep 10 recommendations of presidential panels that have been set up to mitigate against certain problems. You know, we are always reactionary in Nigeria. We are not proactive. So, in this case, let me, for example, what is happening to the El-Rufai report? What is happening to Confab report? What is happening? In fact, what is happening to the wheat foreign pool, I they call them panel that, in fact, I'm tired. But Nigerians with all of these things, especially opposition, because I know that the vast majority of Nigeria are devoid, are without information. And as Bob Marley go say, Zanga, if you don't know where you are coming from, how do you know the hell who you are? You cannot tell who you are. You cannot even hold sway to an identity or fight for it when you don't know who you are or where you are coming from. So if all of this information that we have here, that is almost common knowledge to we here, is completely alien to even suppose elites, then there is a problem with the demographic. There is a complete blackout with the demographic targeted by these politicians. And as I said earlier, there should be a solution, and there should be something done by the opposition for this purpose to bridge the gap. But what are they doing today? Coalition. For power grab.
just as we did in 2015, because we were tired of the same people they are trying to launder, to clean up their identity today. Nigerians forget easily. Yes. And Nigerians are like that pregnant woman who naturally forgets the pains of labor immediately after successful or whatever delivery. Forgets that pain. Because if not, no woman should give birth after the first one. If we go through the experience, if the experience of labor is always fresh in the memories of our mothers and women. So that's the same thing here.
Hey, Jago,
Ni-
Jago,
Ni-
Jago, sorry. Jago, I'm not cutting you short. See, the reason why I'm taking my time to go through administrations and administrations and upon administration is this. It's very simple. Not everyone that is on this space right now will have the full understanding of what we discussed. Maybe they do, but some people will go back, listen to these recordings, and make whatever sense they want to make out of the recordings. That's why I'm keeping it very punchy, straight to the point. If as at 2009, Nigeria was losing between $4 billion to $8 billion annually hmm, to corruption, according to Transparency International. Now, last year, let's refresh our memory back. Last year, you could see how much did Nigerians paid as bribes. $1.26 billion. Just 2024 year, last year. Paid to who? Paid to public officials. For what? Lobby, securing approvals, just as in previous administrations or regimes. So the essence of this space, we now have an actor who was there in the 90s and he was there in the 2000s, right? 2003, Pastor Job, put the ICPC and the FCC thing together and all of that. And he played his role, but is still very much active today. The institutions that he managed, that he manned, what impact did that institution had or have in the fight against graft as we're seeing it today? So this question need to be answered, because you can't be having governments after government, regimes after regimes, people after people, but the problems still remain the same. The greed, the avarice, the corruption, the impunity still persist. This is the core of the discussion. Now, how are we going to fight it? Because we're not going to import Americans here. We're not going to ask people from another galaxy or extraterrestrial planet to come to Nigeria and fight against corruption. It is Nigerian that we do the work. But as long as those same Nigerians don't see a part in what they ought to do or in what they are currently doing that is not working, then you can conclude that there's no hope for the country. The only hope that you see is to be able to have a piece of the pie or real estate while still be scared that something can happen to you that pie can be taken away if you go against whoever that is in power today. Jago.
I deal with you, my brother. I deal with you. Well, see, Nigeria defile explanation. Now why I don't have to talk for this country because man, there's no amount of details you give. You know what I have found out? I found out that after so much talking, I am beginning to repeat things that I have said before, and I am realizing that all of those things that we have been discussing before, not only me, individuals, both on this TL and in physical meetings, none, not one, have been effectively attended to. Although talk is not cheap, my mentor will always say that. Because if we stop talking today, we'll go see waiting they happen. Now, because we are still talking, that's why there is a little bit of check for them. Today, Nigerians, a composition of Nigeria, conscious Nigerians, a handful of them anyway, are the ones that are doing the opposition job, not those who are statutorily responsible for that job. It's just Nigerians who are unofficially, if there's anything like that, doing the job of opposition today, like you and I, here doing it. Yeah. And with coupled with some individuals who are physically, pushing back. But of course, they are not doing so at the dead. I mean, they are not doing so without the attendant persecution, as we see today. This is the second time they will arrest Sikh. What's his name? Because of truth, or in the bid to silence dissident voices, just like we are doing here, because we are bringing out information and truth. These individuals are going, I mean, after these voices through their proxies, like Adejuma and Co, to silence them. And with impunity, they are doing so. So many people have been locked up. I just heard recently that in Delta State, there is someone who is being haunted by Bright because he spoke against something in Delta State, I mean, an issue in Delta State. And it's now becoming unbecoming for thugs in uniform in Nigeria to be really out and out against the citizens. Currently, it's happening everywhere currently in Nigeria, and it's not it's not shying away from the fact that Egbetokun is disturbed with his stay in office, which is of course contravening the constitution and the police rule that stipulates in, I think it's section 63 and maybe section 8, 8.1 or the 8.2, that tells about the tenure and expiration of an IGP time in office, either 60 years or 35 years in service. Either one. If you clock 35 years in service before 60, you're going home. If you clock 60 before 35 years of service, you're going home. Yeah, so, but in their bid, let me even discuss that a little. And the funny thing, no, Nigeria is an absurdity. In the bid to, make Egbetokun stay in office, National Assembly hurriedly gave a provision to that clause, that just those two clauses that deals with the office of the IGP and tenure of service, either of the IGP of any other police. So they put together that, okay, it will no longer be 60 years or 30 years. It will now be based on the stipulated years on your letter of appointment from the day of appointment. And this is why there is now friction between the PSC, Police Service Commission, and the team
of the IGP, Egbetoku himself, who is, of course, an illegal occupant of that office if we go by those provisions of the law. But everybody that speaks against that today have been ferried away to Abuja at the behest of Egbetoku and Adejumo Muiwa, and other state PPROs and police personnel heads are also copying. Bright is beginning to bear his fang against citizens in Delta. There is this lady PPRO too that is also becoming toxic, and witch hunting too. I've forgotten our state, but of course, all of this is not far away.
Jago.
Yeah.
Jago. I think maybe we shouldn't. I think we should restrict the conversation to this Ribadu.
Oh no!
Because
I know. But it's just you and I on the conversation, and we would definitely exhaust. Talk on El-Rufai, Ribadu, and Najatu. That's why I'm just having that offshoot.
because Ribadu, came to the limelight because of EFCC. When Obasanjo signed that EFCC Act, into law in 2003, when he established, when EFCC was established in 2003. And fast forward, the man that took over from Obasanjo was who? Musa Yaradua, right? Shehu Musa Yaradua. You can clearly see that why did Yaradua removed Ribadu from the EFCC? Was clearly because he was investigating, just under 2 weeks, was investigating the governor of Delta State, Ibori, James Ononefe Ibori. And don't forget that Ibori was one of the founders, one of the biggest founders of Yaradua's campaigns and election. So who the hell is Ribadu to investigate a powerful friend and ally? So he was fired. So these are the conversations. So you can see from 1964 to 1965, you narrow everything down to the 1999, the Obasanjo eras, and you bring everything down to the 2000s, and here we are today. The patterns have been fully established. Where has that led us? Because Nuhu Ribadu might likely be packaged, like I said from the very beginning, to be the APC flag bearer in 2031. Just mark this. Why? Because this is the game. This is the game. Record, he said clearly, I think people are on the space again.
Former presidential candidate Nuhu Ribadu, who is back on the line to give his thoughts on the mass defection of politicians to the ruling party and, of course, President Muhammadu Buhari's anti-corruption campaign. It's a pleasure to have you back online now. So let me start with this again. Why did you return to the APC after leaving the party for the PDP in the heat of the 2015 elections?
Well, I'm back home. I'm back to my party that I was a founding member. I'm back to the people that I'm comfortable with. I'm back to those who I started my political life and career with.
You heard that. He was in the PDP. A PDP president sacked him because he was investigating one of the PDP governors who was the primary funder of that presidential campaigns and election. Then he later went back to the APC. In fact, he was a founding member of the current APC that has led us to where we are today. Today, he is the NSA and might likely be the presidential flag bearer after, you know what I mean. Jagu.
I deal with you. I know you okay, maybe for those who weren't on the space when you played that video. Yeah. Ribadu is comfortable where he is now. Very, very comfortable. I mean, he's home. When I said earlier, when sheep don't they comfortable in the company of dogs, know that sheep don't naturalize. Now it's I know be that, because you cannot be the same person in 2007 who was so out in your crusade against corruption, supposedly hunting down these governors that were seeking re-election and fingered to be involved in corruption. And today you are in the camp of and governors. But this time around, you are very much at home. Well, and that's the same man who is our NSA. Anyway, I hail. We can't have this repeating itself every now and then, and we are expecting a different result. DJ, I don't accept that request. I don't know what the network is saying. I don't know if you have even come up as a speaker and I'm not seeing you already, but I don't accept that request. Yeah, so now, my brother, now wait me, I see that too.
Okay.
Mike, 1 minute.
Let's
Jagun, I've sent you
okay.
something via DM. Please check it.
Oh, okay.
Okay, see, my people. Now, I want us to apply logic to this. If in the First Republic, corruption was 10% of our gross domestic product, of our earnings, everything. Second Republic, it was 20%. What was the percentage of corruption in the Third, Fourth Republic, and where we are today? Just imagine. See, don't forget that during President Umar Musa Yar'Adua presidency, he allowed the ICPC and EFCC leadership to be occupied by corrupt officials. Even Falana cited this in 2012. And Falana, further opined that corruption was perpetuated with impunity under President Goodluck Jonathan's administration. We get the memo. And in 2012, don't forget that Falana, the Auditor General of the Federation, Auditor General of the Federation disclosed that 4.2 trillion naira collected by ministries, departments, and agencies of government was not remitted to the Federation account from 2006 to 2009. Now, link that to the similar pattern that the NNPC wasn't remitting any money to the central bank. Hence, why the foreign reserve couldn't hold any treasury. And the Naira was suffering a whole lot of, abuse. And again, the Nigerian Extractive and Transparency Initiative report, the NATI report, that oil companies have failed to pay the Federation account about $10 billion from 1999 to 2008. Also, bringing Nuhu Ribadu to this again, the Nuhu Ribadu-led Petroleum Revenue and Special Task Force revealed that Nigeria has been robbed to the tune of almost $100 billion. $100 billion. and all the cases, the leaders in the case of Siemens. So now, are all these monies made of figures or statistics? Because after administration, we keep having these kind of issues. And how can you develop like that? Deji.
Uh, is it me you're asking? I don't know. But I was gonna ask King Zanga. You guys can hear me, right?
Loud and clear.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, or good afternoon, everyone. So King Zanga, like in my research, I even saw that this guy was involved in the Ali Button case. Was he the one that started prosecuting it, or was he that how do I put it? Did he take it over? Like, do you know anything about that?
Just give me a moment.
Yeah.
You see,
Okay.
I'm coming to that. You see, all the indicted leaders in the cases of Siemens, Halliburton's, and all those kind. I'm talking about the Nuhu Ribadu led, you know, committee. Who guess what, and how Nigerian political arena works. See, you can clearly see that the character of this individual that we are talking about, he has seen corruption at the highest level of government in Nigeria. And he might be out of government for almost 18 years, that he wasn't really close to power till Tinubu called him back. But he clearly has institution memory. He clearly possesses that institutional memory. What did he do when he became the NSA? The first thing he did was to declare a total overhaul of that agency. And it took months because he clearly wanted to establish, he want obviously to have his own team that he wants to work with. And, so the Halliburton scandal was one of the most insulting, corrupt cases in Nigerian history because of how the whole thing was handled. So today, Deji has been hosting spaces. Duke has been hosting spaces. Now, because he has gained a level of recognition, acceptance, and credence, tomorrow somebody will come and make you an offer to consolidate, and you pick that up. So because you understood the ethos, you understood how the constituency where you belongs before, with the people you share similar ideas, similar values with before. You get what I mean? Anything you are trying to do within your new role now of space hosting, maybe you later became a TV anchor or a presenter or a government, Caesar or something. That in itself is self-indicting. But who am I to challenge your newfound friends and alliance if you are comfortable, like Mr. Nuhu Ribadu said? Not the least to say that, oh, you were part of the founding members of that while you were still with
King
us.
Zanga, can you hear me?
Yes.
Let me read this detail. When once information come to me, I always want to read it out on this. I mean, since this space started, to the ears of listeners and speakers on this space. So this is another one, and it is still bordering on Nuhu Ribadu. But this time there is a fresh character that is introduced into the event. All right, there is an article that, or should I say, a book that was written
I forgot the name of the book. Maybe by that would be El-Rufai's book now. What's the name of my service? I'll be waiting in column. Now on page 358 of that book.
That's accidental
public servants. Thank you. On page 358, in a section entitled Humaru asks Nuru for support. The beginning of our trouble, he wrote that Ribadu was so maddened that former President Olusegun Obasanjo had favored Yar'Adua above Nasir El-Rufai to succeed him as president. In 2007, to succeed him as president in 2007, that he told a Yar'Adua to his face, well, in quotes, now I'm quoting, Obasanjo had not told me, and as far as the presidency is concerned, I have my own candidate for president. That's the EFCC chairman talking, and that is El-Rufai. El-Rufai continued on page 359, and I quote, it took some time before Nuhu figured out Obasanjo's game and what was really happening. Nuhu's instinctive reaction was that of a typical policeman. Dust up EFCC's file and comb them for petitions against Humaru. Nuhu did not realize it at that time, but he was the one in trouble, not Obasanjo or Humaru. He dusted up all the files against Humaru and launched investigation. He was clearly trying to take Yar'Adua out of the race and narrow all options to zero, except for El-Rufai. Now, this is what I'm going to ask speakers on the section, if there are new speakers on the section now. What happened? How did the friendship go sour between El-Rufai, and when did it go sour between El-Rufai and what was his name? Nuhu Ribadu? They were so close, they were friends, and in fact, he wanted to use the powers of his office as anti-graft agent head to narrow the prospects down for El-Rufai and El-Rufai wholly. When did he go sour? Are you aware of this, Deji? King Zanga, are you aware of when the time went? I mean, when he went. Mommy and baby, happy.
I think I've answered.
Mike.
I think I've answered you. I've answered you with all sense of logic. One is going to pick up the presidential, flag.
Yeah, Mike.
Of
Mike, one minute,
the
Mike.
APC. The second is going to form an alliance.
Okay, can you hear Duke? All right, Duke, go ahead.
So,
yeah, I can hear Duke. Duke, go ahead.
So I'm going to share more documents and articles and all these things about this. So what I believe is this: there was an article that was written by someone that's close to both El-Rufai and Ribadu. So according to the article, El-Rufai did not want Ribadu to work with Tinubu in 2009. So the whole thing started when Nuru linked up with Tinubu, started working for Tinubu without informing his best friend. Do you understand? So the whole thing started there. So I guess this is not part of the article. I mean, I've not finished. I'm still reading the article. But one thing I've seen there is that the whole fight that started after Tinubu became the president. I mean, till and how El-Rufai was rejected at the Senate House. The whole thing is still because of the issue that is in between them. So now it looked like Ribadu is in between El-Rufai and Tinubu. Do you understand? So that's the whole thing. So now it's 2023 games now. So it's who is going to be the president in 2027. So like Mike.
I mean, who released the report indicting El-Rufai for that made him susceptible to ridicule at the Senate?
Thank you.
It was
Very
intelligence.
much.
Your guest There is call your guess is as good as mine. Not be my mouth when I go here say old man don't drink pap and he no wake up.
Oga Zanga, if you go talk, make you talk. If you don't talk, make you don't talk. We go talk.
Where is the clearing house for
We will go
vetting?
talk.
DSS, NIA,
But guys,
and to a reasonable
let's even
extent, the DIA are
let
under who? Who defends their budget? They are all under
um
ONSA.
King Zanga. If going by what you said, the permutations you just made in terms of um him being the likely candidate for APC in 2031, what sort of advantage, does he have on all other candidates, considering the fact that he's literally the NSA person? What do they call them in NSA? Is it chairman? Or let me sure I use chairman, right? If as the NSA chairman with so much access to information and all the politicians' dirty secrets, I can't imagine the sort of power and advantage he has over any other person.
So before Mike goes, let me quickly say this. So I believe Mike did not say APC. That would be, I mean, I'm not sure it's APC because there are a lot of big men in APC. What I mean, what I'm suggesting is it's going to be, if it's going to come from APC, then it will be Tinubu because he was the one that gave him the ticket in 2009. So I'm not sure it's the whole APC as a political party. Do you understand? Yeah. Mike, you can continue.
Okay. Yes, Deji, I get I get your question. First, who are the primary, you know, agency, intelligence agency that are responsible for gathering domestic intelligence? When I say intelligence, now who can request for your back records? Who can request for your telephone conversations? Who can request for, you know, your medical stuff? Who can have access to your life, right? The DSS. When we're talking about foreign intelligence, we talk about the NIA. We're talking about military intelligence. We're talking about the Defense Intelligence Agency, the DIA. Now, these three agencies are very important. And who is their boss? It's the NSA. Then, secondly, is that the limit of the scope of that office? Hell no. He's coordinating 18 of all the national security agencies in Nigeria. He's coordinating them. He can request for info, can request for both operational, strategic, tactical info and intelligence. The intelligence can be at the speed of war or it can be at the speed of peace, but he can request for that. Now, advising the president or on who is the enemy of the state, the buck stops at the NSA table.
King Zanga, let's make this conversation interesting. So, according to what did you ask, uh, okay, I think Deji asked, Duke asked the same thing. Do you think this hedges him how? I mean, this gives him an hedge above all others because he's got access to information.
I haven't finished. That's one part. I just answered one part, the Deji's part. The second part, the second part is this. In an era where data itself is the new oil, where intelligence itself is the new gold reserve. If you have accurate intelligence, you can be able to win any war throughout history. The best guys who have access to the best intelligence always win. They always come out on top. Don't forget, I when I started, I said that this person we're dealing with, it is easier for you to have understanding within the crop of individuals who have been rolling together for a long time. The understanding has been established. And I also separated you doing business from you developing a relationship. I can do business with you without necessarily having a relationship with you. It's not a love affair, right? And I can have a strategic partnership with you based on mutual cooperation. So whatever sense you make out of Nuhu Ribadu's, relationship or business or partnership with Tinubu or the wider, All Progressive Congress is entirely up to you. But within the context of where he occupies right now in the Nigerian government, in the Nigerian state, that office can give anybody strategic advantage over anybody depending on your individual, ambition. So if his ambition is to be the next president of Nigeria and he wants to make sense of the intelligence at his purview, at his possession, then you could say that he hold a tactical, strategic, and operational edge over anybody else. But we don't know what the landscape is going to be then. But what we do know right now is that there's a fallout between his old friend who wanted to be part of the new government. There were rumors, there were talks of he blocking NSA from becoming, NSA, and NSA now blocking him or becoming a minister, things like that. But as it is now, one wants to push his ambition forward. The other one doesn't want to relent. So I'm having a bowl of popcorn and a glass of beer. I want the game to begin. I yield the mic.
Well, me, I don't know how popcorn and beer go together, but anyway, enjoy your snack. Anyway, uh, Adegbola, I was going to call you. You are the only new speaker up, but now you are disconnecting. Okay. King Zanga. Deji, I don't know if you are there. Duke. I think we've had NSAs in time past. I mean, before this one, who is now becoming a popular NSA, we had one popular NSA who was a Father Christmas during the Jonathan era. But if this office is with all of these juicy perks and advantage and almost unlimited powers, why haven't previous NSAs seized? I mean, why didn't the previous NSAs seize the opportunity to, propel their own personal agenda? I mean, they are all politicians. I'm going to ask that question. Deji, you got any idea before we come to King Zanga?
I'll be right back.
All right, because I want to know, why is Nuhu's case different? Is it because he was a one-time ACN flag bearer in 2011, or is it because Tinubu would particularly want him to, succeed? Should, in quote, Tinubu hedge everybody out in 2027? Is it that Tinubu wants him as his successor for 2031? And how authentic is this source of him? I mean, let me know. Okay, let me not say how authentic is this source. How viable is this theory that no Ribadu is being hide and fingered for 2031? Because of course, the North will have first refusal to present flag bearer or candidate at which one at that time. So, King Zanga, how authentic is this theory? How close to real is it? And why didn't previous NSAs, who of course were politicians, like what's the previous thing? Zakia was that one's name. Why didn't they seize this opportunity of all of the powers that is vested in the NSA office of the NSA, why didn't they? To propel and propagate themselves or improve their political standing, as it were. King Zanga.
Well, Jagu Jagu, I will appreciate if the question can be short, but I think the summary of the question is, how will he take advantage of what he knows, to get to where
Let
he wants
me,
to
let
get
me,
to?
let me make it brief. One, there are two questions.
I clearly get your question. We had previous NSAs. Why is his case different? And all of that. Yes. See, you could. I think the accurate or the near accurate answer to that will be, this person understood both the dominant political parties. In fact, it was in the dominant political party that he went to form, be a founding member of the now ruling party. So clearly, he understood the the house, or both houses. That's advantage number one. Advantage number two, will he, because of his unique strategic position now, having favor from those who call the shots, you know, in the ruling government, right? And those who call the shot in the Nigerian state, because the government of the day calls the shot, you know. And the reason why the oppositions are, because they also want access to power, they want access to control, you know, they want access to leadership. So previous, I won't speak for the previous NSAs, but I think one stood out for me, and the circumstances of his death. I'm referring to, what's his name? General Adru Azazi, right? And this is just aside from the question I asked. I know we all to a reasonable extent have access to a means of transportation like helicopters and others. Please, if you travel by helicopters, I want you to pay attention to this. I'm going to reveal something to you that is very critical for your safety and my safety. Between the rotor and the base, hmm, of the helicopter, those fans where they are top, where they rotate, that helicopter, there is a nozzle. There's a small screw there. Hmm? That screw, the easiest way you can crash a helicopter is to unloosen that screw, just unloosen it small, not not loosen plenty, just unloosen. So at the blade they rotate, the thing go they loose small small. So you can actually calculate from the point of takeoff and when the helicopter is airborne and where it's going to crash. You can calculate that vector. You can do all that. So that's what, because I don't think they've made public the investigation of how the guy died. I think he died with the Kaduna State Governor, right? Former Kaduna State Governor Patrick Yakowa, right? And before then there were a lot of allegations of contracts and things like that within that. But we are all Nigerians. So the thing is this: whatever sense Mr. Noho Ribadu is going to make out of what he knows is entirely up to him. And it is within his right to compete, for any political office in Nigeria. As for, the calculations, if that's going to be 2031 or beyond, we leave that to the times. And that would be my response. Hmm?
All right. Information don't land again. I will read it again to us. But before I read it, remember that Ribadu supported the third term agenda that was acrimonious back then, when Obasanjo was to leave office after the completion of his terms of office. Let me read this to you, still from that book, Accidental, I think, Accidental Public Servant, I think, yeah. So here is it from here. During the meeting between the IG, Mike Okiro, and Ribadu, new characters are introduced again. Tempers were said to have fled when the IG officially presented the offer to proceed on course to Ribadu. Ribadu allegedly stormed out of the meeting after telling Okiro he had no power to redeploy him. I quote, "Only the president can deploy. You can't do that," Ribadu was said to have told Okiro. Okiro was said to have taken his case to President Yar'Adua, who sided with him and told him to proceed with his plan. All right, sorry, I missed my line. Proceed with his plan, yeah. Armed with the president's backing, Okiro today issued an official memo to that effect. Today means as at the time of that event. Yeah. The Times of Nigeria learned that President Umaru Yusa Yar'Adua gave the IG's plan to redeploy Ribadu and all those of the same rank his final seal of approval this afternoon, and the IG, Mike Okiro, immediately released a statement to that effect to all affected officers, including the EFCC chairman. It is alleged that he owns a mansion. This is another section of that book in the Palm Beach. These are allegations. Area of Dubai, which his wife stayed for the most part of last year. It's not a current event, note. But a source close to Ribadu explained that the house was a gift from a northern business tycoon. I remember this scandal at that time. The name was withheld. There is also the allegation that he bought the official residence of former Inspector General of Police, Sunday Hehidero, for 200 million and paid in cash. The house is on Mambila Street, near Aso Drive, in the Maitama area of Abuja. The petitioners alleged that Ribadu engaged in business activities that breached his oath of office. I quote, "I think it is after a careful study of these petitions, the police high command is working on those that may have substance," a police source said. Ribadu may face an inquiry after evidence is established against him, although there is disagreement in the House of Representatives over which committee should probe the EFCC. Another one, a lengthy one. I have two lengthy ones here, but I would read them so that we can grasp perspective of this conversation that we're having this afternoon and this kind of expose that we are doing. Apart from the issue of Ribadu's role in the ill-fated attempt to secure a third term for former President Olusegun Obasanjo, the group also intended to challenge the legality of the rapid promotion the EFCC chairman received from the past administration. I think he got a double promotion at that time or triple promotion at once. I can't remember if it's double or triple then, but I know he was promoted and they were highbrow from a cross-section of the police personnel. Also on their list of grievances is what they called financial impropriety by Ribadu. When did a serving policeman get the money to buy his Abuja residence that belonged to the former Deputy Inspector General of Police? The source queried. The group is said to have been hecked by what is called the holier-than-thou attitude of the EFCC chairman. We know these associates, and when the probe, I'm quoting now, and when the probe starts, Nigerians will be surprised by hood information that will come to the fore. We will disclose for the world to see the role that Ribadu himself played during the election. Corruption is not only about taking money. You can corrupt your position by abusing your office. He supported OBJ third-term agenda. Okay, that's confirmation. The Times of Nigeria, that's the Times newspaper, can reveal that the
Arrowhead of the move to reverse Ribadu's removal are the former personal assistant to President Obasanjo, Dr. Andy Huber, and business mogul Aliko Dangote, whose business empire benefited tremendously from Obasanjo's 8 years administration in the form of preferential treatments in key areas of country industry. Uber and Dangote have already convinced Obasanjo on the need to meet with Yar'Adua, and a New Year's Day meeting has already been scheduled with President Yar'Adua at the presidential villa. Obasanjo himself is said to be uneasy with the direction things are going in the presidency, especially with the removal of Ribadu. There have been several petitions for the former president and some members of his family to be probed by EFCC. The source said that Obasanjo is concerned that those petitions may be acted upon with the removal of Ribadu. This will probably lead to a probe of Obasanjo's business empire, including the handling of affairs of the Petroleum Ministry and the NNPC during his administration. The Nigerian/SAO TOM Joint Development Zone, which is JDS. I don't know what organization this was under the government, what agency this was under the government, but that's the name. The Nigerian South Tome Joint Development Zone. Yeah. In another area that Obasanjo is scared that any investigation in it may result in either jail term of total embarrassment that tarnish whatever is left of his legacy. This is the first time I'm hearing about the JDZ, the Nigerian South Tome Joint Development Zone, and in relation with Obasanjo's scandal. Yeah. Huber and Dangote have been accused of using Ribadu to protect their business interests, and the presidency was said to have been briefed on it in the past. Though Dangote contributed heavily to Yar'Adua's presidential campaign, he had not been able to exert the same amount of influence he had during Obasanjo's presidency. Nobody had during Yar'Adua anyways. The source said Dangote has retreated to the business world away from politics. That's in quotes. After President Yar'Adua made some policy reversal that affected his business, especially as it relates to his cement and oil and gas business. On the other hand, Huber, who is said to be angry with Yar'Adua for not doing enough to stop the removal of Nuhu Ribadu from office as the governor of Anambra State. Has anyone bothered to ask why Huber is still working as a free man after all the atrocities he committed? Who is protecting him? The source queried. Smarting from these grievances, both individuals, according to presidency sources, resorted to using their common friendship with Ribadu to blackmail Mr. President. Our investigation revealed that a few days ago, Ribadu, in the company of business mogul Aliko Dangote and Andy Uba, Dangote name has always been in all the source. He was probably financing him. I mean Ribadu. Yeah, so that's that's some details that I have here and I have read out to us. So make do with whatever information you have here. If there is anything that any discrepancy in this information, please be sure to come up and straighten things out. These are allegations that are that dates back up until 2007, 2006, 2006, 2007, even if 2005 is not involved. Yeah, so if there is any contrary to this information, please do make sure you come up and so that we can straighten it. King Zanga, Deji, if you're back, this is the information and I've read it out to us. Make do and give your submission between the lines.
Sorry guys, I've been a bit distracted.
When I called you and you didn't already figured, I was talking to even King Zanga.
Oh, okay. I will try sort out something.
If you have a minute, you can King Zanga don't go chop a man.
Yeah, I think
Which Amala, which this Jagu Jagu guy self. Okay. Well, I listened to. I mean, what you read, you are reading. You were reading from the Accidental Public Servant. That book was authored by El-Rufai. So you were not the one making up those allegations. So you could see. Well, I think we've clearly established, the contending issues, and waiting the two of them they drag, and not everybody where they not be small children now be. I think I'm trying to link the past to the present because they say life is best understood backward, but lived, forward, with our eyes fixed on the future. How can we make sense of our past? That's my interest here, and today. And I'm trying to link the Ribadu's era, but what actually projected him to the limelight. And obviously he's had his ups and downs, highs and lows. It's got his moments, but he's still here. And that's to tell you that these entrenched individuals are not going away anytime soon, and they are constantly, opening shops for recruitment. So looking at what he was able to, the kind of, I mean, the circumstances of his exit. I think that could be his reason. uh, I don't know, maybe, of course I can't testify what is on another man's mind, but if you are an anti-corruption Caesar, an EFCC chairman, a very young agency established to fight corruption, because corruption has been with us since the creation of Nigeria. And you went after a very powerful governor of Delta State, then Ibori, and immediately Yaradua within weeks fired you. That could be his grievance number one.
Mike, Mike,
While
just
obviously,
1 minute. Just add
yep.
this to your submission. So what happened according to the news that I mean the article that I've seen here? What happened? He didn't just go, after Ibori. Ibori supported Ribadu against Ribadu's wage. Ribadu wanted El-Rufai to be the next president after Obasanjo, but then Ibori, Obasanjo, they were in the other group. You know, rooting for Yaradua. So when Yaradua got to that position, I mean, when he got the nomination as the he got the when he was nominated. So the whole thing started, and Ribadu now, he went after every other person that supported Yaradua's nomination. Yeah.
So he's obviously he picked his target, accurately. Well, so I think some targets are worth going
Yeah, in
after,
fact,
but
in fact, Mike, there are some in some part of the article. In fact, Ribadu even went after the president when Yaradua became the president. Ribadu still, he really went after him, and that was the reason why the president just kuku removed him. You know.
okay. And obviously you can link that to his statement, 8 years ago, during that interview, where he clearly said he's back home, to where he belongs, to the people he's comfortable with. So I think we need to begin to link some of these things with historical connections and context, and most importantly the ambitions and the roles they are currently playing in the Nigerian political structure. That's important. But let's just look at things from a different vantage point. um the guys who they were prosecuted. You look at Cecilia Ibro. former CEO of defunct Oceanic Bank. How many counts of offense? 25 counts of bank and security fraud. Sentence 6 months imprisonment. Forfeited 190 billion naira, $1.2 billion assets and cash. The date was dated 20 October 2010, and the Federal High Court in Lagos. And Tafa Balogun, for failing to declare his assets and his front companies, were convicted of 8 counts of money laundering. 6 months imprisonment, that was the sentence. Seizure of his assets are reportedly worth in excess of $150 million. And the date here is November 2005. The court, Federal High Court, Abuja, that Lucky Igbinidion, governor of Edo State, failing to declare his assets and his front companies, was convicted of 27 counts of money laundering. The sentence was 6 months imprisonment with an option of 3.5 million. It's laughable. 3.5 million naira fine and seizure of some of his assets acquired with proceeds of corruption. Igbinidio immediately paid the fine in the court, which obviously is going to lead us to the technicalities and the role of plea bargain in prosecution of corrupt. So he immediately paid the fine in the courtroom. Sharp boy, sharp Edo boy, and agreed to forfeit some of his assets. The date is December 2008, Federal High Court, Enugu. Hmm. Hmm. Okay. Could that be, I think this guy was around then. Onamani. Ebano. All right. All right. They were both in the PDP. Dimi Pre Alamisia, former governor of Bayelsa State, failing to declare his assets and his front companies, were convicted of money laundering. Sentence was 2 years imprisonment and forfeited, some of his assets. The amount is not stated here. And the account, the court is Federal High Court, Lagos. Now, let's look at low risk and high benefits of corruption in Nigeria and the role of, plea bargain. Because sometimes I really don't understand, because we saw a particular case recently where somebody stole a whole lot of money and it was asked to pay a very small fine. And the case, who I'm talking about, the governor of Kogi State. Hell yeah. All right. So now, let's look at Mr. John Yusuf, along 6 others who were convicted, who converted public funds, under the police pension fund. We all know the story, right? In the sum of $207 million, 726,000, you know, $708. So that's the money around 36 point 32.8 billion naira as at that time. So they've converted this money to their personal use, and they got a light sentence of 2 years imprisonment with an option of fine in the sum of $4,658. As at that time, the money value was 750,000 naira, which the convict Yusuf immediately paid, like Lucky Binidio, typical example of risk, and high benefit theory involving corruption in Nigeria. So now, what is plea bargain? Plea bargain could be simply explained as, between the prosecutor and the defender, you go into an agreement, you know, where the defender will plead guilty, all right, plead guilty of a count. Maybe the count brought against him, the charges brought against him could be 10. So he agrees to plead guilty to one or two. So in exchange, for the remaining eight, to be, or nine, to be squashed, or to be, I don't know, to be withdrawn. You know, that's basically the simple, explanation. They usually do that to escape, also receive light. Part of the agreement between the both lawyers, both camps will be, to receive light sentences as well. I'm linking this with the historical, knowledge of previous cases of corruption in Nigeria, where somebody will steal a whole lot of money and it go into a Nigerian court again. Pillars that makes up a country. Number one, sovereignty of the country. Number two, the independence of